regular city council meeting to order for the city of Atwater, the regular session. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by Norm. Would you mind giving us a Pledge of Allegiance? And then right afterwards, we'll have an invocation by Police Chaplain Steve Mead. So please stand.
Shall we pray? Father, we're so thankful that you've allowed us to gather in these halls to do the business of this great city. We thank you for the staff that is here, the council members that are here, for just everybody that is willing to give to this great city. Father, we thank you for the new officers that we see standing here, Father, and we thank you for their dedication, Father. We thank you for the officers that put their lives on the line every day, and for the firemen that make sure that we are safe and also put their lives on the line. Father, as we begin this week, we know that students will be heading to school, and we ask that you'll protect them and guide them. Father, protect our teachers as they teach, and help us, Father, just to guide our children as they go to and from school, Father, and give them the guidance that they need. We thank you for all the citizens that stand here, Father, that are here to celebrate their new police officers as they get sworn in, are here to celebrate this great city, and are here to express concerns or praises or whatever it is they're here for. Father, we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, let's go with roll call then.
Ambrose?
Here.
Button?
Here. Here.
Raymond is trying to join via teleconference. He's having a little bit of technical issue.
Okay.
Creighton is absent. Kale?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, so first off, let me say that Mayor Creighton had a injury today and called us right before the meeting and said he wasn't going to be able to make it. So we just hope that he gets through his little injury. It's nothing serious as far as we know right now, but we're just going to have to get through this meeting without him, and I'm sure Mr. Raymond will be on shortly. Subsequent need items.
Mayor Pro Tem, there are none.
Okay. Approval of the agenda as posted or as amended.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Emery, second by Button.
Button?
Roll call.
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Ceremonial matters. There's a whole bunch of people in here so that we can honor two new police officers. Chief, I'm going to turn this all over to you and swear in our two new officers, Officer Emily Huckabee and Officer Juan Carlos Palencia.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, members of the community. Michael Salvador, your police chief, and I am proud to call up Emily Huckabee and Juan Carlos Palencia up to the front. Hold on to those. Just a little bit about both our new police officers tonight. We swore Emily in about 14 months ago, and as a reserve officer, and she did really, really well. And unfortunately, back then, I didn't have a job for her. So I sent her to a place kind of near and dear to my heart. I was a police officer and a police sergeant there for many, many years. I sent her to Chowchilla and left them in their capable hands, and then I got a job opening, and she decided to come home. So I'm really happy to have her here. Juan Carlos, or as he likes to be called, Carlos, we kind of have a special relationship also. His uncle and I worked together at the sheriff's office. I was his FTO back in the day, and now 25 years later, they're entrusting me with his nephew. So we're really happy to have him. This is a part of a larger change in the police department. When I took over as your chief 2.5 years ago, the police department had a very large cadre of senior officers. And I could look at that and see, you know what? Retirements are coming. And they've happened. So this is part of the new Atwater PD. And with that, you guys will stand right over here. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter. Congratulations. Ladies first. Emily, do you have somebody you'd like to bring up? And outstanding. Carlos? Yeah, he doesn't have his vest yet. Can't draw blood. That caused me a lot of paperwork. Emily and Juan Carlos have been with us about a week. We're bringing him through the orientation process now. But Emily, since she's already been through our FTO process, is already on the street by herself. So you'll see her out and about, and we wish them great fortune and great luck, and we're happy to have them. There are more to come, so stay tuned. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, we're going to come down and we're going to take a couple minutes so that your family can come out. The rest of the council will come out to congratulate you. You can get pictures, and we're going to take 5-10 minutes and celebrate you guys coming into the force. We want to welcome you to an outstanding police force in the Central Valley. And you guys are welcome to come in, and I can tell you myself, especially, you see me, I'll wave, so you guys wave, and most of the citizens here are gonna be glad that you're here with us. So let's come out and meet these guys.
Ladies first. You've never been at lost words for me.
I'm Emily. I know a bunch of you. Just thankful for my family and my kids being a part of me or with me through the process, and I'm happy to be back in Atwater. It means a lot to serve my community. I didn't realize how much it meant until I left, but I'm happy to come back, and I can't wait to see everybody.
Likewise. Likewise, I want to thank my girlfriend, my mother, my father, my uncle, a big part of my life, my whole family and friends to encourage me and to never give up. I'm extremely excited to be here, and I'm excited for the long, healthy career that I'm going to endure. Thank you. Thank you.
Tyler, you want to say anything? Yeah.
I just want to say I'm just really excited that we have two new additions that have a great reputation and great character and the way people speak about you. So just thank you.
I'm just going to keep this short. Again, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you guys.
Right, family, come on up. Congratulate our two flying officers, the rest of our flying officers are back in their bags. This is for you as well. We appreciate all those guys being back there and taking care of our citizens. And we're going to appreciate you guys also. So come on up, take pictures. call the regular council meeting back to order. And continue along with the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that the city council would like to remove or separate for discussion and possible action? Hearing none?
I'd like to pull item 5.
No, item 5, okay. Okay, and any others? Like to acknowledge that Councilman Raymond is now online with us.
That is correct, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak regarding any items remaining on the consent calendar? If so, please come to the podium now. Seeing none, I'll listen for a motion.
A motion to approve consent
calendar.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion to approve by Councilman Raymond, second by Councilman Button.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Then we will go directly on to number 5.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This item is approving a use agreement between the Historical Society and the City of Atwater. Your City Council has delegated Mayor Pro Tem Kale as well as Councilmember Ambrose to sit on the committee along with staff, myself, and our Deputy City Manager for the use agreement for the Bloss home itself. We've taken back the grounds, or we're proposing that the city take back the grounds and the facilities and just contract out the home and the tours through the Historical Society. But this agreement also allows for the Historical Society to use the grounds for fundraising events, but the city will be responsible for facility rentals through our facility department, events department. And with that, I will answer any questions.
So, Ms. City Manager, what will the cost be to the city with this new agreement as it was compared to the prior 3 years?
The cost of the maintenance, so the city has always been responsible.
Under the new agreement as opposed to the previous.
So the city will be responsible for the grounds. We did have, the Historical Society was maintaining the grounds on behalf of the city during these last 3 years of the previous agreement. This was during a time where staffing was cut. With this year's budget, we have increased staffing, and we are proposing that the city take this back, and so we would be responsible for the grounds maintenance, but we've always been responsible for the costs of the utilities and the security, things like that.
Would it still be a cost savings if the Historical Society was to maintain the grounds?
I do not have those actual dollar amounts, but the cost savings, I'm sure there would be a cost savings because we wouldn't have staff do it, but we would not have the opportunity to use for facility rentals, and we're proposing that we add that to our facility rental pool.
So if somebody wants to rent it out for an event?
Correct. So as it was before, The Historical Society would rent it out. They would keep all the revenue and offset with whatever expenses they have on the maintenance of the home that are not covered under the contract that the city's responsible for. We are proposing that we would allow them to do their fundraising events, but the city would be leasing it out for rentals and then keeping the revenue to help offset those expenses that the city is already responsible for paying. And that would include a facility attendant during events, so there was someone on site.
Okay, I'll come back.
So it's my understanding that the city will take over so that they will go in and set up a schedule to take care of the grounds and work in there to make sure that it's all done correctly. And with the advice of the Historical Society to make sure that they're doing the grounds correctly. And then we would release them from doing their volunteer work on the grounds, but we would ensure that the staff is going to do this on a regular basis. Is that correct?
That is correct, but I do feel it's important that we acknowledge the work and the efforts that the Historical Society has done, because they've maintained the grounds to during these last 3 years and maintain them beautifully, and that's not in question here. The hope is that by maintaining a schedule for the maintenance and the yards, that we could still work on that partnership, and if there's something specifically that they want groomed or trimmed in a specific way, that they could still assist the city in that.
Now, Miss City Manager, again, I like the idea of that, but if you drive around town, none of the parks are ever manicured on time on any type of schedule. So this is just one more roadblock. Is there something to combat that?
Well, I think that in the direction with the new hiring of the staff that we've recently added, I believe that your staff has improved significantly in your parks, as well as the Bloss Gardens across the street.
I live down the street from a park, so I mean, pictures could say otherwise.
Well, and again, I understand that as far as that park, we have some construction going on, so that's atypical, I hope, rather than the norm. And it's to my, I mean, we have our Public Works Community Development Director here as well, but just in my driving through the city, I can say that, and if there is things that we have or the community has that they bring to our attention, we do address those right away.
And Councilman Bremen, I'd like to add that in our meeting with the Historical Society, I explained to them that we truly believe that the Bloss House and its surrounding area is I think the word I used was, it was the gem of the city of Atwater. And as long as I'm sitting in, not necessarily this chair tonight, but as long as I'm sitting on this board, one of my priorities was to make sure that that place does not falter, that we do not allow it to go in. And I'm not saying that the Historical Society did that. We appreciate all the hard work that those volunteers did to bring and to keep it up. But we're in a position now that we can relieve them from what they have done in the past and step up and do this.
And one thing too to
Is
note
that,
is
is that what the Historical Society wants, or do they want to continue volunteering and helping out? Because if we're getting free labor to help beautify the city, why not look at that approach?
Well, and to be honest, I don't know that it was in, that they gathered their crew in a position that was fitting for that house. It's hard to get, trust me, I've been doing this, doing a project for the last 2 months. It's hard to get volunteers to come out and do those things that should be done, and it's difficult.
And one of the things that you mentioned, Councilmember Raymond, as well, as those positions that you approved at budget year, we're still recruiting and we'll be hiring those positions. So we will be adding to our Parks Department.
Miss City Manager and Council, if you don't mind, if I could add one.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure to point out to Councilman Raymond, who's not not here currently in the room, and the rest of the council, that we, as Lori suggests, that we have new staff that we're bringing on. It takes a time for them to be able to acclimate. But one of the reasons that the city is taking, my understanding, one of the reasons the city is taking the position they are, which they're encouraged to enter into a new agreement with the Historic Society, is that the Bloss grounds themselves and the Bloss Park represent a portion of your parks and open space. If it is going to be a part of that inventory, we, the city, have to make sure that it is unfettered access to those areas, which means we have to maintain certain amounts of those areas to allow the public to have access to them at different times of the day. If we're going to be reporting on them, which if you look at the 2009, 2010 Parks and Open Space Master Plan, which was the last one that was prepared for the city, it is included in that inventory. So we do have a certain responsibility we hold to the public to maintain and to keep those grounds open. I just want to make sure that you are aware of that before making a decision, that if we are going to continue to report on that inventory, and we are deficient in that inventory, by the way.
I think that's what started the conversation.
That's a good question, because a point of contention that no one's really been able to point out is the Bloss House a historical designated point, or is it a park?
It is both.
And that's kind of been one of the questions.
Yeah, the Bloss House itself, my understanding, it is registered as a historic building, but the grounds themselves and the park behind it are also identified in our Park and Open Space Master Plan. I just wanted to make sure the council was aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the dais have any? Okay, I'll open this up to public comments if they would like to discuss anything on this.
I think we have the Historical Society here as well.
Yes, we have the Historical Society here.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members and staff. My name is Greg Olzak. I'm the current president of the Atwater Historical Society. And as Lori has said, we have been meeting the last several months talking about this in staff level, and we do, and a couple of the members of the City Council have also sat in a couple of those meetings. And we are in agreement with the agreement as it is so written, and we do appreciate the work that you've done, and we're looking forward to another new, good relationship with the city. So happy to answer any questions, but as it stands now, we are in agreement with things as they stand.
Mr. Button, you satisfied with that? Mr. Raymond?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment?
Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive. So, sort of piggybacking off of Councilmember Raymond, I'm wondering, do we have any idea of what the anticipated revenue is going to be from renting that out for, you know, parties and celebrations and stuff like that? Also, what kind of right, because I haven't seen the agreement, what kind of rights does the Historical Society retain if there's a conflict on a calendar date, for example? Who has the right of way to decide what's planned there, scheduled there? And then third, is there a reason for it to be done tonight, or is it something, as Councilmember Raymond pointed out, where we could wait and see after these other folks are hired on with Public Works if we're able to maintain our parks and make sure that it isn't something that's too much for them to take on? Does it have to be done this evening? Is it because we're getting ready to enter into the fall and winter, and that's when we have a lot of holidays and possible parties that would be planned? or where it would be rented for those? And so those were just three questions I had, and I didn't know if you could answer any of those.
Ken, if you want me to. Typically, we don't go back
Yeah,
and forth, but if you have,
go right ahead if you want to answer
you
those.
want to wait until.
Okay, Mr. Price?
Thank you very much. Jim Price, I'm on the Board of Directors for the Historical Society. One thing I just wanted to echo what Greg said. You know, this agreement is not the hill to die on, so I'm not going to stand up here and go after anything having to do with that. However, what Greg had just mentioned here kind of sent a chill down my spine, because we had been in discussions. We were talking about how the gates are open to the Bloss grounds each day now. The intent and the spirit behind that was to allow for public access for people to take pictures, what have you. And unfortunately, the folks that are accessing the grounds are not those that were the intended patronage that we're, looking for. There have been several incidents that have occurred where certain people have accessed the grounds and their intentions were anything less than just to go and access a historical spot. To designate the grounds of the Bloss House as a park, or to make it in conjunction with some other designation, I think is a gross mistake for this particular area. The grounds itself were, as everyone knows, there was a fence erected by contributions from throughout the community, and the reason for the fencing that was erected around the Bloss grounds was to protect those grounds and to protect the house. And I fear that if we're going to continue to have the grounds opened as they are right now without some type of better restriction of some sort or another, that there's going to be problems that are going to arise from folks that access there that don't have the best of intentions, as somebody, say for a graduation picture or what have you. Designating it as a park, I kind of wonder if we say that, if it gets out to the public like that, what's to say that somebody doesn't bring in a barbecue or a bounce house or something along those lines, and uses it as a park has been used in those regard. So I hope that the council will consider that designation of park for the Bloss grounds something that is not something that we want to carry forward, because as we all said, and I think John, you agree, we all agree, this is a jewel of the city and we want to protect that jewel. We don't want to have it screwed up. And any case, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for your time.
Anyone else? Okay, City Manager, would you like to respond to those questions?
I'd be happy to. So the first question on why tonight is currently we're out of contract. We've been meeting, held several meetings over the last several months, and we've negotiated back and forth. We've communicated back and forth. So I think now is the time where we've come to an agreement that we both parties are ready to move forward. The hours of operation, I think, may be something that can be worked on as we go. The security continues and will be a big point where we'll have our PD be a big part of that, and we'll have to increase the security as far as additional routine driving through there. But also we've added an additional security, or will be adding additional security feature of deploying cameras that will be automatically fed into PD and dispatch. So that'll be an additional layer of security, and hopefully that will alleviate some of the concerns. Your concerns aren't unheard, and we're addressing those as we come up with them. But I believe that the addition of the cameras will help with that additional layer of security.
And then did I miss?
Revenue?
Revenue, yes.
So it's hard to kind of quantify that without knowing what, we do in our staff report have what the deposit and the rental hour or charges are, and I can get that to you. A private party, a 2-hour minimum is 80 hours, or $80 per hour. And then we have nonprofit rates, and then a facility attendant per hour is $30 per hour. So we'll make sure that there's somebody on site. We've also had communication with the Historical Society regarding the portable outhouse that's on site, and so that the maintenance of that and things like that. So we've had lots of communication as far as what they've done and what the anticipation is that the city would take on going forward.
And then the recreational director will maintain a calendar so that we will not or should not have any discrepancy between the Historical Society wanting to utilize that on one night and somebody trying to utilize it the other night. But we more than willing to work with the Historical Society, make sure that they get first dibs on their thing, on their choices of dates for their fundraising opportunities.
So with the hours, what is going to be the change in hours in comparison to what it was as far as public access? Is it?
Well, right now it's set up the same as, say, Veterans Park, which is, I believe, 6 to 10 at night. We agree that 10 is too late, probably is dusk, you know. We want to keep it open a little bit past 5 for those who are working, but maybe not until dark, because we don't want those coming at dark that would be up to no good.
And that's Monday through Sunday?
Correct.
I'm just thinking out loud that, you know, maybe this is obviously for another discussion, but maybe we can look at how that revenue that we make can maybe put in a pool for some type of low security, low level patrol, you know, of some kind that can kind of be fed back into it and allow for, so, you know, PD isn't taking care of that and it can just, you know.
So right now, that would be, you know, part of the deployment of the cameras, but yes, right now, the city is already responsible for some of the big upkeep and maintenance. The Historical Society has been paying for some of the maintenance on their own as well. But the goal is that the revenue received from this would offset those expenses. It's not gonna be a money maker, and that's not the intention. It'll be to put it back into the facility and the grounds.
Okay, and I just, you know, I think I'm echoing what's already, but, you know, I'm definitely, you know, we want all of our, you know, places around town, but obviously this one is more of a jewel, and I echo the same sentiment that, you know, we really have to, we got to keep as many eyes on this thing as possible, so, yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'm looking for a motion now.
I'll make it. I'm just trying to figure out how to present this one.
Staff's recommendation.
I'll make the motion to approve staff's recommendation. That was simple enough.
I'll second.
Okay. We'll have a vote then.
Button,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
I believe this is a step backwards. No.
Kale,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, we'll go to public hearings. This is confirming engineer's report and ordering the annual levy for lighting and drainage and landscaping assessment maintenance district for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. We'll open this for, open to the public for hearing and take any testimony for that. So,
Staff's presentation first.
oh, you want to do staff presentation first? Sure. And that is the Community Development Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and the council for your consideration of these items this evening. The last, last council meeting on the 26th, council gave direction to initiate proceedings for the annual levy of assessments and to commission the engineer's report. In your packet this evening, I'm sure this inch thick of material is probably riveting for you guys to go through and very interesting. But it does contain the engineer's report and the recommendation to move forward with the levy of those assessments. As you know, the city of Atwater is responsible for administrating the assessment districts for landscaping and lighting and for other things as well, including storm drainage. This is the action that is an annual action that initiates proceedings. It commissions the engineer's report. In the engineer's report is a detailed analysis of the amount of area, the boundaries of the districts, the type of work to be concluded, and the ability to translate those into costs that could be levied through the annual assessment of property tax. This is all done in conformance with Prop 218, as you guys probably are aware. And as we reported in the last presentation of materials on the 26th, this assessment or this initiation and the levying of assessment anticipates no new current raising of any of the fees. It is consistent with the last levy of assessments. And I'm available to answer any further questions about the report or the action.
Okay, any questions from the dais? No? Then we'll open up to public hearing to take any testimony given. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And we're looking for a motion.
I'll motion to approve staff's recommendations as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Button, second by Ambrose. We shall call for a vote then.
Button,
Yes. Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
No.
Kale.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, reports and presentation from staff. Adopting a resolution approving a budget amendment to appropriate additional funding for CAL FIRE contract and approving fiscal year 2021-2022 fire contract, and we'll have Chief Pimentel here with it.
Well, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City Mayor, City Manager. My name is Mark Pimentel. I'm the Assistant Chief for Atwater City and CAL FIRE. Today we bring forth is the agreement that's been brought forth over the last couple of years. It will be a one-year agreement that was provided by CAL FIRE and was reviewed by staff and has gone forward. Just to give you a couple highlights in regards to CAL FIRE and what we do here for you. Some agreement details. We're looking at the details. We're looking at this agreement here will be a 12-month agreement. We're looking about 2.9 million. General fund covers about 2 million of that, and then your Measure H will cover another 900,000. Looking at what you get for the agreement, we have 2.5 battalion chiefs, 4 captains, and 5 engineers. These are the individuals that work daily at your fire station. They cover they work a 3-4 shift, and then they'll sit there and trade off shifts after 3 days and rotate through. So usually you'll have 2 individuals at your station 41, 2 individuals at station 42, and then the BC will be working throughout the day and handling various calls and business as it goes through for the city. Additional personnel also is 0.2% is my salary as the assistant chief. We do have comm ops of 1.5. 0.2% is a professional personnel specialist, which handles all the paperwork for your personnel, all these individuals that I'm speaking of. And then we also have a office technician. This individual is highly involved in like keeping track of the training of these guys or these individuals working, and going day-to-day stuff that's coming in for your fire department. The benefits that City of Atwater receives working with CAL FIRE in our modern fire department, our biggest thing is personnel, right? Personnel is hard to come by, and we try to make sure that we have enough individuals to staff a sufficient fire service for you to handle any incidents that you have within your city. We also come with those, some of those would be things as like FMLA, your sick leave, out-of-county assignments, training, and special assignments. When people go off duty and aren't able to be here for various reasons, sick, trainings, those are the things that we're able to utilize CAL FIRE as a resource. We do have about 300 individuals that work throughout our unit, which is MMU, which covers in Mariposa, Merced, and Madera. That those are our resources that we can use here for the city. It's a simple call, get those individuals in the schedule, and they're able to work here in the city and fill behind. And we wouldn't have vacancies throughout the day just because of an individual being sick or other needs that need to be handled. We are all risk capability. These individuals are trained in all areas. They are anything from a vehicle accident, structure fires, your simple medical aids, but we are all risk. We can handle any type of incidents. We do have automatic and mutual aids that are done by us. We work with the county. We work with other jurisdictional areas to make sure that we have these agreements in line and able to serve the city of Atwater and also help outside of the city as well. Fully staffed fire department. It also gives you guys a relief for your staff. Your staff doesn't need to worry about our personnel. It's basically we come to you, we provide you the service, and then it's going to do this contract or this agreement. Dispatchers are also covered in this. Our training department, there's several individuals. Actually, our training department is growing just in the matter of the state and the criteria that they try to keep our guys, our individuals at. So we have to keep very good track. Our training bureau, which is not included in this, it just kind of comes as a whole, is able to keep track of our individuals and allow them to be up to date and ready for any type of incidents or anything that comes about. You currently do have 3 hazmat team members. The county has a type 1 hazmat team. 3 of these individuals are actually a part of that team. So if there is an incident within the city of Atwater, we respond and we are able to mitigate those incidents at no charge to the city. So obviously we can do stuff as cost recovery things if that deems necessary, but if there's an incident within the city, we come in there, we work together to provide you the aid that you may need. Prevention officers, those are individuals that are peace officers. Myself as a peace officer back in the day, and I still am today, but I used to come into the city and provide investigations for any type of incidents that needed follow-up. I did thorough investigations in regards to structure fires and other incidents such as IA if there's some type of those types of things. But those individuals will come in and provide that assistance to the city at no extra charge. And then obviously our guys oversee your reserve fire program. We do have individuals, and a really big boost is kind of where I came from was in the PCF program. Outwater's kind of evolved and became into the overseeing, the reserve fire program. And so these are young individuals that pursue a career in the fire service. They're able to come work and get through their training and get some experience as they work out into the world and try to find a job with the fire department. And there's also individuals that just want to provide some kind of help to the community. So obviously we support that and we're able to help them get through that process. As far as that goes, that's the end of the PowerPoint. I just want to say that this is Bobby Ayuso. Chief Ayuso was out, and he was normally going to step in and provide this information for you. He is currently up at the river incident, and he has been there for about 2.5 weeks. I'm hoping to get him home soon, but he's been working really hard, and that's the thing is when we send those individuals out, they're out there helping the state as well, but again, no cost to you at the city, so they're just out there doing the work that we're trying to help put these fires out and get everybody home safe and sound. But that would be the end of the presentation. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, I'm here to answer.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I can just
Yes.
add one thing to his presentation is, this item was approved at budget year. The difference is we're asking for a budget amendment in the amount of $13, I believe, or 30?
$1,300?
$1,300.
$13.
And that's the change from an office assistant to an office
Tech.
tech.
What we looked over, we have an individual that's been working for us for some time. Looking at her job description, she was doing above and beyond what she was currently doing. You handle 0.2% of her salary. We are also working with the county on the other end of it, but we wanted to get her the appropriate pay for her for the services that she provides.
Okay, so this is added to the previous contract of $1,300.
Well, we're also approving the contract. We didn't have that at budget time.
Right,
We had the
okay.
amount, but not the contract.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Any questions?
So the volunteer program, you guys feel like it's pretty healthy right now? I'm just kind of curious if you guys feel like it's a good flow coming in.
Well, to be honest, it is great.
Yeah.
The sad thing is the state's hiring all of our reserve firefighters and all our county PCFs, which is wonderful. I'm so excited for those individuals to get the opportunity. But I think it's a great thing that we have. I think those individuals are able to, young, older individuals are able to come in, get some great experience, work with these gentlemen that I have behind me, and actually provide them with the proper knowledge and experience to move them forward if they decide to take this on as a career, or just to help out the community. So I think it's it's a really big asset for us, and we enjoy having them there be a part of our fire department.
Okay.
I have no other questions. And I just want to say, hopefully, our guys are safe up there in those raging fires. I know it's a little crazy out there right now.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're hoping they get back home safe and sound. Things are definitely rough right now, but we'll get through this.
Okay, thank you, Chief Pimentel, and
Thank you,
I
guys.
agree with Councilman Button on that also, so. Anything else? I'll open it up now to the public. If anybody would like to speak. Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and look for a motion.
I'll motion to approve staff's recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion by Button, second by Raymond, and we'll go for the vote.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, number 10, approving the contract change in order to the general construction contract to Rolf Construction Company for the Winton Way Reconstruction Project. Community Development Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members, for your consideration of this item this evening. As you know, the Winton Way Reconstruction Project has drawn on for some period of time, and I was hoping to give you each just a little bit of a breakdown on the current activity and the status of the project. The Winton Way Reconstruction Project was an extremely complicated project for the city of Atwater. It was not just the reconstruction of the road surface, although we've had a lot of compliments from the citizens on how nice the road surface has been and how that is a huge improvement to the flow of traffic in between North and South Atwater. It also consisted of the changing of sewer lines. It also consisted of the installation of the TCP lines. It also consisted of the installation of 28 water valves throughout the span or the reach of the portion that was being reconstructed. So there was a lot of reconstruction activity to coordinate and continues on. One of the biggest delays, which we have explained previously to council, was making field fits and adjustment throughout the course of the project, as well as the coordination with the utility providers. One of these being Pacific Gas and Electric Company, which has lengthened the term of the project. We are very happy to report, though, that an earlier estimate of PG&E being able to energize the cross beacons has moved from October forwarded up to this month. So they will be, as opposed to earlier estimates of October energizing of that panel and those crossings, they will be moved to this month, and we will be coming back to council to close out this project. So just so that we're clear on this budget amendment that we are requesting, although it does anticipate an additional amount of approximately $29,000 to account for some work that was done in front of St. Anthony's and some additional work to the project, this budget amendment moves money in and out of the project. So it's not just the staff or the contractor or the project itself, which is funded under Measure V, coming back to council asking for more money. The amendment itself is also to bring money back into the project because of quantities of cement and other calculations that staff has been working with the contractor on. So this is a true shore up of the project, so to speak, so that we can account for those monies in and out. It's to account for the final work and activities that would bring the project to a close, and to accommodate that other work that was done in association with the project.
Well, okay, I'll start. What kind of work is $29,000 going towards?
The $29,000 that's mentioned in here is specific to work and activity, and I can list it right from the staff report. It's additional work which consists of adjustment of quantities of miscellaneous concrete items based on public request and material testing and minor engineering revisions. So when we incorporated work in and out of the project, there were certain driveway approaches that we had coordinated with certain landowners through a right of entry and construction, that we knew that preventive maintenance would prevent us from having to go back and disturb the pavement surface. Other work that is being contemplated by this work had to be performed to bring the city into compliance with its accessibility plan. Those are the two main areas, Councilman.
And so those, I understand the public issue, but those other, bringing it up to maintain the standards, those weren't included in the original plans for road construction to evaluate and then price out?
No, they were not. A lot of what was anticipated by this change order were field fits that were performed in the field. So, for example, if you use that area that spans right in front of St. Anthony's, additional concrete work had to be done in order to bring the project into compliance with accessibility and interface between that and the road surface.
And so on the original plans, was it our fault that we didn't evaluate the plan correctly to get that accessibility section in there? Because we should know that, right?
Well, I agree that plans are done for that purpose, to evaluate the existing conditions. They're also prepared to identify what the limits of the road right-of-way are and the existing conditions. But in some cases, such as this, what we're doing is we're incorporating or installing new facilities in an area that they've never been installed with before. So that takes coordination around utility providers. So in the case of St. Anthony's, when additional cement was added to circumvent utility poles, those created additional costs to the project.
Wow, okay.
Maybe one more time, you talk about the shore up, so the actual cost to the city is being, essentially, it's being countered, right? With a inflow from Measure V?
Correct. There is a balancing going on in this particular action where some quantities are being identified that were not necessary by the project because of similar adjustments. So you have both quantities that are being decreased and quantities that are being increased to create the balance through this budget amendment.
And is it like on the dot, or are we talking like within a few dollars?
Well, there's not an equilibrium that's being achieved here because obviously because of a $29,000 increase. And again, just so that the council is clear, these are monies that would be entered into the project from Measure V that were a part of the project award.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on the diocese? Brian? Councilmember?
I have nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, any comments from the public? Seeing none? Listen for the vote.
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Button, second by Ambrose. We'll call for a vote.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Kale?
No.
Motion passes.
Okay, a declaration of emergency under the Public Contract Code adopting a resolution approving a budget amendment, approving a general construction contract with Quality Well Drillers of Atwater and Shannon Pump Company of Merced for emergency drilling of a new water well and installation of equipment at the Atwater Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, Public Works Community Development Director Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council members, for your consideration of this item this evening. What has occurred is that the well that is located for potable water use at the wastewater treatment plant has collapsed. The casing has collapsed in on it. They have not even been able to remove and retrieve the pump assembly from the well yet. This is probably has occurred because of years of use and for other conditions that are identified in your staff report. So the action this evening that is being contemplated or requested is an emergency action so that we can begin scheduling and work that would be necessary to replace that potable water service at the wastewater treatment facility.
Okay, anybody like to? So the total for this is not to exceed $14,747. Okay. Any questions from the dice? Any comment from the public? No? I'll entertain a
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Raymond, second from Ambrose. Call for a vote.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, verbal presentation regarding the City of Atwater public safety and transactions and use tax. Finance Director, you're on first time, right?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. This presentation today is on the City of Atwater Public Safety Transaction and Use Tax, Measure H. This presentation will serve as a refresher of what had been reviewed and approved during the budget process. On March 5th, a little overview about the public safety tax. So on March 5th in 2013, the voters of the City of Atwater approved a half-cent sales tax to supplement funding for the public safety services in the city. The tax is codified as Atwater Municipal Code, Chapter 3.45. Pursuant to the tax Measure H, the city had prepared and established the program guidelines and public safety expenditure plan. The city also established the Citizens Oversight Committee. This is the Atwater Municipal Code 3.45.150 that identifies the use tax proceeds and expenditure plan. The code states that all proceeds shall be accounted for and paid into a special fund or account only for public safety services set forth in the program guidelines and public safety expenditure plan. City Council may amend the public safety expenditure plan so long as the funds are utilized for public safety, police, and protection services. The code also defines what public safety services means. For both police and fire protection services, the definition is identical. Tax proceeds may be used for obtaining, furnishing, operating, and/or maintaining protection equipment or apparatus, paying the salaries and benefits for protection personnel, and such other protection services expenses as are deemed necessary by the City Council for the benefit of the residents of the city. Resolution number 3100-19 was adopted by the City Council, which approved the program guidelines and public safety expenditure plan as required by the Atwater Municipal Code. The approval means that the council determined that the program guidelines and public safety expenditure plan promotes and furthers the intent of Measure H to supplement the public safety services. The intent is that revenues collected should build upon expenditures at the time of Measure H's passage and not replace existing expenditures for public safety. Allowable expenditures broadly include expenses deemed necessary to support public safety services, such as personnel salaries, equipment, capital expenses, costs for any renewal measure, other expenses as deemed necessary by the City Council, and a note on that is each year's expenditure plan is approved by the City Council through the budget process. In summary, the program guidelines and public safety expenditure plan is designed to be flexibly used as necessary and as approved by the City Council for public safety, police and fire protection services. This is the most recent expenditure plan approved by the City Council through the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget approval process. This presentation is intended to be a refresher on Measure H and the nature of its fund. So with that, if there are any questions.
Any questions?
Just have one. How many members do we have on the Oversight Committee currently?
7.
Okay. And those meetings are happening regularly, or?
So we hadn't had them because we did not have a quorum. We've just reseated members, and we have had them regularly and established quarterly meetings, which is above what was approved with the tax measure of annually.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Raven?
I have nothing.
Okay, we're open to the public. If any public has any comment about this? Hearing none? Okay, we're good. All right, thank you. You did a good job for the first time. That was nice. Very nice. All right, comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Do we have any email comments?
Mayor Pro Tem, I have 2 emails and I have 1 comment card.
Okay, let's go ahead and listen to your email ones first.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. First, would like to thank you for bringing Habit Burger to Atwater. My husband and I have eaten there 3 times, and have always had good food, good service, and clean surroundings. If not hungry or thirsty, it is worth going for the beautiful artwork on the walls. Would like to make a few suggestions for future businesses if possible. Please, when you all have time, check into bringing a Golden Corral buffet. A Texas Roadhouse strongly suggests an Altitude Arcade. There is one in my hometown on Midwest Del City area of Oklahoma. Many of my family members love going there, as lots do for adults and children. Recently, on almost a month-long visit with my family in my hometown, I became very grateful for the bus and transit services in our area. My hometown has no city bus service. Cabs, Lyft, and Uber are not always easy to find. Not I. Thank you for all you do for Atwater. Sincerely, LC.
Okay, thank you for that comment.
Shame on all of you. You allowed a non-resident troublemaker, evidently a cop hater, to again come to the Atwater City Council and slander Atwater Police Sergeant Bill Novitskiy. For the past several years, Frank Johnson, resident of Stanislaus County, has been allowed to come to the Atwater City Council meetings and spew his hatred and falsehoods during public comments about several law enforcement officers. He brings his information to the public in hopes that he might cause an officer to be terminated. We all wonder where he got his information for the latest hate letter, the details of which could come only from within the police department itself. Now, isn't that interesting? I experienced Mr. Johnson's bad information personally a few years ago, and I was told where it came from. Did the city do anything? Hell no. Mr. Johnson is not a credible person. In the past, Mr. Johnson not only slandered law enforcement, but private citizens as well. Now back to what happened last evening at the city council meeting. In today's times, we all see on the news how these cop haters treat our officers. Cop haters want to see our officers fail and worse, dead. You folks of all people should have stood up and defend Sergeant Novitskiy, but you let Johnson slander him. It is our responsibility to protect our law enforcement officers. We need to make them feel that they are safe in their jobs, both on and off the streets. Every agency has good cops and bad cops, and it is the responsibility of the chief to weed out the bad cops. If he can't do it, then maybe he needs to be shown the door or retire. Please remember that our law enforcement has to contend with a lot of abuse, both verbally and physically. When his own family, City of Atwater, doesn't support him, that's inexcusable and disgraceful. Johnson should have been asked to refrain from his hate spewing, and if he didn't, gavel him down. The question is, who is running these council meetings? Is it the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, or is it Mr. Johnson? You should be ashamed. Just another black eye on the City of Atwater. Linda Dash.
Thank you. And speaker cards.
For the first speaker card, or one and only speaker card I have, Mayor Pro Tem, sorry, is Frank Johnson.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Frank Johnson, Modesto, California, President of the NAAAP. I ran out of time at the last meeting in regard to Lieutenant Candidate Novitskiy. Novitskiy is known for bullying and harassing his subordinates. Just one example is the Niederrhoder age discrimination case. The city paid out $105,000 in settlements to Niederrhoder, plus at least another $100,000 in legal costs. In 2012, Novitskiy was prime suspect in secretly, illegally recording a union meeting and giving the tape to the chief. Novitskiy withdrew from a fight, leaving his fellow officers in a lurch because the suspect broke Novitskiy's pinky finger. In another case, Novitskiy panicked and fired his rifle wildly in another direction, not even close to the suspect, blowing out an eardrum of a fellow officer. Novitskiy bragged that he had disqualified 9 of 11 applicants while volunteering on an old board for Ceres PD. The Ceres chief, Art DeWerk, instructed his staff never to invite Novitskiy to sit on any of their old boards in the future. On another call, A frustrated mother took a small plastic bag of marijuana out of her son's room and tossed it at Novinski's feet. Novitskiy arrested the mother for assaulting a police officer. The district attorney laughed at Novinskiy's report and didn't file charges against the mother. Novitskiy dropped the ball by failing to submit the required statistics to the Office of Traffic Safety and thereby caused the department to lose approximately $100,000 in grant money. Novitskiy is unethical, distinguished, cowardly, and corrupt individual who has absolutely no business being second in command of a police department. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any other individuals in the, would like to make a statement?
Well, this is a little awkward. For that who do not know me, I'm William Novitskiy. The other William guy, let me tell you, I don't know, he's a popular guy. But I'm William Novitskiy, City of Atwater, police sergeant, been working for the city 16 years. Wanted to come here tonight to acknowledge and say thank you to my supporters. You and others have been receiving unwanted hate mail and falsehoods and slanders from an individual for several years about me and my character. It's unfortunate, public comment has also been exploited in this fashion. Again, I want to say thank you to the community, City Council, City Manager, Police Chief, and my colleagues, especially B Squad, nights and days now, for the continued support during this unwarranted attack on me. You know, we work every day, and I have to be tasked with this, and I can tell you, working the streets every day, my team has been very supportive, and that means more than anything to me. I appreciate all my cops that I serve with every day. It's a tough job. This is kind of comes with the territory, as I was told once. But I just want to say that we've done great things in the police department, and I choose to move forward and put this behind us. It's been about 5 years. I choose to stay focused on all the positive and will not be deterred from doing my job. I love this job, and like I said, you know, we deal with a lot of anti-police rhetoric today. We're trained to obviously de-escalation and everything else and kind of take this. But from a personal note, I am human. Like I said, it does, I'd be lying to you to say if it doesn't bother me, have somebody come up here and obviously makes falsehoods, lies, or make me the worst person ever, you know. But like I said, this is a job I serve with. I come from a family of law enforcement, so we all kind of took that task on, myself and my family, so we knew what the job was. I was explained this when I came into the business. I enjoy serving this community, and anybody knows me, they know my record. So I don't have to get up here and go tit for tat or whatnot. I enjoy serving this community again, like I said, and will not let the negative energy and hate affect me. Lastly, on a positive note, National Night Out is coming up, and so I hope the community is able to come out and share some time with our great police department. I know a lot of businesses are trying to get their best to help the community get the economy back to a sense of normalcy, and this is a great time to come out and support them as well. So again, thanks again, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Like a minute and a half.
Good evening, City Council, Linda Dash, Atwater. It's really sad that a former employee of the City of Atwater Police Department has to pay to have this slanderous information said about one of our current officers. But yet it's very, very sad to find out that the information that's been referenced by Mr. Johnson came from one of your current police officers. Thank you.
Thank you.
folks know who I am. I just want to start off by saying thank you, Chief Salvador, you and all the department for your assistance during the 4th of July. No one has said a thing about you guys, and it just shocks me. And we did it. We got this celebration over and done with, and in large part to the help that Atwater Police Department provided. Secondly, I want to also ask of the council, you know, it's all in the papers. We're in a drought, and I haven't heard anything coming out of the city here to go and say, folks, we need to cut back on watering. We need to set some limits. We need to go and put down some rules here. We're out of water. Ask a farmer. They're not having a good day today. So let's think about that. Let's not wait on the state. Let's get it done now. Lastly, I too want to make comments about Bill Novitskiy. When I sat in the center chair here, one of the first things I did was started going out on police ride-alongs. And I went on several with Sergeant Novitskiy. And I want to just tell you, from my observations, his professionalism, his observation of how things are, to read the signs of what law enforcement is all about, was second to none. I was proud to ride with this gentleman because he took the time to tell me, to educate me on things that I never imagined are going on in our city. And believe me, there are things going on in our city at nighttime that I tell you, the normal person would absolutely just cringe. And you would thank these guys. Bill Novitskiy was the guy that educated me and was the one that took me around and showed me how this place is taken care of. And in large part because of his professionalism, his years of experience, and his way of knowing by powers of observation that only a good cop can have, that he can see what is and what is not right in our city. I thank God that we have a guy like Bill Novitskiy out on the street every day protecting this city. And for Mr. Johnson, my good friend Mr. Johnson, to come here and berate him, I don't know what he gets out of this. I don't care to know what he gets out of this, but I will tell you this much. Mr. Johnson has been only fed that disparaging kind of information that can only come from hate outside of the city, maybe from within the city. But just the same, I can only tell you what I know about Bill Novitskiy, and I'm going to tell you, you've got one hell of a cop there, and I wish that all cops could be as professional and upfront and professionally oriented as Mr. Novitskiy is. And I want to thank him. God bless you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close the comment section, public comment section, and I believe we have something from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. If I may address you as well as the rest of the council. There's something that we've heard at the last couple of meetings, and as the city's chief executive, I believe it's important that I address these with you as the council. You should rest assured that although the recruitment is in its early stages, I can say unequivocally that the city is following its recruitment process fairly, impartially, and consistently to ensure that all candidates are evaluated solely based on their merit. We in the city back the blue, and that being said, I'd like to also add that we support all of our law enforcement officers, as was displayed tonight with the celebration of the newly sworn officers that we held. This includes Sergeant Novitskiy. He served the city for 16 years. He's a dedicated public servant, and we support him and his service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's do council comment. Mr. Raymond, would you like to make a comment?
I have nothing tonight, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. Mr. Ambrose?
City manager, if possible, if we can get an update at the next meeting or the meeting after, preferably next meeting though, on the crossing lights on Winton Way. With school starting up this week, I definitely would like to see those up and going. This way we can make sure the students are crossing Winton Way safely. With that also being said, you know, for our citizens out there, school does start back up on Wednesday. So you're gonna see a lot of little bodies out there on the roads. Please drive safely. For all the teachers, you know, thank you for coming back. Students I know are looking forward to it, as well as the parents. And don't mind if the parents come back with little confetti in their hair day one of picking up their kids. You know, they're celebrating that they're back in a real school. With that, I have nothing else.
Okay, Mr. Button.
It's exciting to, school coming back into session here just in a day or two. As a teacher, I'm really looking forward to it as well. Miss teaching those kids in person. And you know, I just hope that, you know, the powers that be at the county or state level, whatever, I don't know, Dr. Fauci, CDC, I don't know who's in charge of the schools get to open, or, you know, whoever's pulling the levers. Hopefully we're able to keep these kids in school. We need these kids in person, you know. I got a kindergartner and I got a little guy going into second grade. You know, one of my kids, almost all he knows is a COVID school year. So, so here's to looking to our state allowing us to let our kids have a normal school year. And I'll just say, I'm kind of ranting, but there is no new normal school year. It's our kids need to have a normal school year like when we all went to school and we got to have a normal school year. That's what our kids and our grandkids deserve. So anyways, that's my soapbox there. You got me going. You brought up school. And I just, want to say unequivocally, I have friends, family in law enforcement. I support our law enforcement 110%, and that means all of our law enforcement that are here on this team. If there was any confusion on maybe my support personally, let it be known that these guys have my support, and that means all of them. So, that's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to go with congratulations to our two new officers. Chief, steer them the right way. I'm sure we're going to have a great, we already have a great group, and we're very proud of all of those, your staff. And you also.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem. We have high hopes for our new staff. And as we come through the rest of the year, there will be more new staff.
Great.
So,
great. And then I'd like to say that last Wednesday, for the first time in I don't know how many months, I'm guessing 18 months, the Atwater Memorial Hall was open for hamburger night, and the community enjoyed a hamburger night out there. And we all owe a big thank you to Tom Lake, a veteran, and his veterans group, who worked diligently to get the Memorial Hall cleaned up. And these folks truly are, as their logo says, are veterans who continue to serve. And so I appreciate all those guys doing that. And apparently, I just got an email a little bit ago that there's going to be another hamburger night on August 18th. So we're good with that, too. So another hamburger night on August 18th. Don't forget, tomorrow night, as Officer Sergeant Novitskiy said, is to get out to Walmart parking lot tomorrow night between 5 and 7 for National Night Out. so that everyone can meet various officers, including our own fine police officers, the sheriff's department, and the CHP, as well as all of our great firefighters. They all left. I'm sure they had the wrong call.
They know.
Yeah, sorry, Mark.
Chief, just thumbs up. Yeah, they know what's going on.
Sorry. Meet the firefighters and first responders, come out, win some raffle prizes, and get some barbecue. And then, everybody, I'd like to say God bless all the people who've been displaced by the fires we've had in California. And I just ask the Lord to bless our firefighters who are out there fighting to put those fires out. Other than that, I'm glad that kids are going back to school and that I don't have to babysit anymore during the summer. No, I'm just kidding. I love watching my grandkids. So thank you very much, and we'll adjourn this meeting for the night.